all of us were born
No, Donna was born when we lived in town.
Okay.
You know, she didn't know that until one day we were walking, she and I were taking a walk and we were walking up West Davis and I said, well, right there's the house where we lived when you were born. She said, what? I didn't know that.
then? You guys lived in town another year besides the year that we lived in town later?
Oh yeah, we lived in town because I think Sheila was born in the house up here.
Where we lived.
At the same time, well, we were living in town. And I don't know why we ever moved to town. I think Mother must have wanted to, and
Oh,
Daddy
yeah. Well, Mother always wanted to.
was gonna prove
Yeah.
to her it was not gonna work.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm so glad we did. I love living in town.
Oh, I did
So,
too.
We never lived in town when I was a kid.
Yes, we did.
Yes, you did.
On corporate.
On corporate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was town.
For a year.
So,
or two.
in Mother and Daddy got married in December 27th, 1942.
Right.
And Daddy had bought a farm right before that. He bought it in the fall of 42. The Howard place, they called it. It's right up that way. It's at just a mile out of Fayette, or a half a mile out of Fayette. And he moved Mother there to that farm. So
That's where we were when I was growing up.
right. So it was 1942. So now my kids own that farm, and I'm very blessed that happened. But now when 100 years it'll be a century farm.
What's that mean?
So in 2042, they will be able to. It means that it's been in your family for 100 years.
And what does that do?
They
Get
give
your
you
little plaque.
you get a plaque, and you're in a
And you get something that says you're a century farm.
You get to join a club?
Yeah.
right.
Yes,
There's-
it's Century Farm Club.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
anyway,
And for landowners, it's means that you've put the work in to keep it in the family,
Right.
and you've done the work that you needed to do.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
someday, and I don't know what the lineage is on it, but like Uncle Jay owned the farm that we own. Someday my kids will own that farm, and then hopefully my grandkids. And so I don't know if it starts. I don't know where it starts, but I think it would start with Uncle Jay because I can directly show that I was
It's the
related.
same family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
yeah.
So it's a good thing to look forward to. So and then so they got married, December 27th.
Who stood up with them when they
Oh,
got married?
I don't remember that.
I don't
Well,
either. I don't think
I don't
any
know
of us.
why.
I
I
just
was-
wanted you to know
I
I
was-
don't remember it.
I was born 13 months later,
They got married.
so I don't remember it either.
Aunt Doris, wasn't it?
Aunt Doris and Uncle Jake, Jacob Oscar and Doris Bertle.
Right,
They got married in 1942, December 27th.
right.
And one kind of funny thing about the actual wedding is that Mother got her dress in Boonville at a store. It was just a dress. It was not
Yeah.
long.
It was kind of a suit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then she asked Aunt Doris to be her maid of honor, and Aunt Doris was not married to Uncle Harold yet, I don't believe, but they were dating. I'm not sure of that. But anyway, Aunt Doris is from Boonville, so she went to shop for her dress in Boonville, and she picked out a dress and got it. She showed up at the wedding. It was the same dress,
It was just a different,
different
color.
color.
Oh,
Thank goodness. And Mother's was a cream white colored, and Aunt Doris's I think was pink or lavender or something. Yeah. So, but anyway, it was funny
Yeah,
that they would pick the same dress.
yeah.
now you get told what to buy.
I have a picture of that wedding party on our wall at home.
Right. Yeah. So, and then they didn't have a bathroom when they first moved there.
You know, I don't remember when we didn't have a bathroom in the house exactly, but I do remember that we had a toilet out back, and I remember when they installed the bathroom. So,
So we
this
didn't have a
little.
bathroom when we were
No,
yeah.
when we were,
And,
and
probably Glenn. 'Cause,
and the kitchen floor
Mhm.
went like that. It was real slanted, and that's why when Glenn was a baby,
It's not
he was.
Glenn.
I know it's not Glenn. when Glenn was a baby, he was in his stroller and he rolled down that kitchen floor, which was level, and knocked Grandma Neff over.
No.
But because you remember when they redid the kitchen, it
Oh,
was
yeah.
before Connie was born.
Was it on the same side of the house?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But the kitchen later was, of course, a flat floor and
right.
a flat roof and
It was
a
all,
lot of flatness.
and a
I
big,
love that kitchen.
me too, it was a big fireplace,
Mhm.
knotty pine.
It looked like Granddaddy when you walked in. Just
Mhm.
everything about it looked like
When did they
Granddaddy.
put in the swimming pool?
Oh, later.
That was later, that
Way
was
later.
about in the
Teenagers?
divorce area.
Yeah.
That was in that,
Yeah,
right.
that was after we had all moved out of the
Right,
house.
yeah.
It didn't work for very long,
I
you know.
think that was I think that was a business venture.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Wasn't that?
He was gonna
He
sell
was gonna
pools.
sell
Yeah,
them, and so he put one in,
yeah.
Mhm.
and
It was also that time of life that,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, because he bought the convertible,
Mm-hmm,
and you know he was.
Was that the convertible you drove?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bought it from him a few years later.
At some point, the upstairs got added, right?
Yeah, well, that was you were probably a baby.
Right.
It was always there that I remember. But,
Yeah, but I think you were a
Yeah.
baby.
yeah.
He had John
Steinbach.
Steinbach,
And
they
Sammy Yeager.
and yeah, and they cut all that ceiling joists out and lowered the ceiling and made the upstairs. And then we had 2 bathrooms. We had never had but one bathroom.
And that bathtub was sunk.
Right.
Upstairs.
Upstairs.
Sunken, yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
nice upstairs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there was
Yeah.
a toy box at the top of the stairs. I always was
Mhm.
fascinated by that toy
Right.
box because if you were careful, you could get up in that toy box and hang by your feet and see people putting Christmas presents out.
I remember looking out that top window from the upstairs room and seeing Santa Claus go by in his sleigh.
No.
I did.
Really?
I did. One Christmas Eve,
Wow.
clear as a bell.
Again, now you all know what it was like to share a room with her through high school.
Oh my.
So who all lived in that house? Because grandmother and granddaddy, and then it was already there when they moved there. That house.
The house was there, but they redid the kitchen, they redid
Right.
the upstairs, and there was a room added on the side.
Well, we had an old trailer
Right.
hooked onto the side of it.
And you stayed in that. That was us.
We lived in there, and then he used it for an office.
Right. But then that's when he moved upstairs.
Yeah.
See, there was only 2 bedrooms, and one of them was a pump room, and the boys were in that.
Glenn and I were in the room that had a water pump underneath our bed.
Oh, wow.
And it would run.
Because that had been the front porch
It
when
had been a front porch.
it had been the front porch.
They made
before
it
was
into a
That
bedroom.
room was a little bit cold.
Yeah.
Right.
Not bad.
Yeah.
The whole house was cold.
And that was Ma's room when she lived with us.
She died in that room.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So,
Was it Genevieve that used to work that did the ironing?
Geneva.
Geneva. I remember watching Geneva do some ironing, and she was real sweet. I really liked her, and I'd hide behind the door on the porch and eat Purina dog food because I loved it.
See, that's another reason why you.
She's just saying everything I've ever said is now true, and all of you know why.
Well, Geneva was
I haven't had any
absolutely
surprises
wonderful.
yet.
What'd you say?
I said Geneva was wonderful.
She was Quiddy's live-in. They lived together.
Yeah,
and
they
Quiddy
were
worked for
common
them.
law marriage, you
Yeah,
know.
that's what Daddy always
Um,
said.
remember
Common law
when Quiddy
marriage.
died.
Right.
Yeah.
But Geneva would come and she worked 3 days a week, I think, for Mother. And I think she made like $7 a day, is the way I remember it. Anyway, she would come and do all the laundry one day, and then the next day she'd do all the ironing. And we'd come up from the barn to eat breakfast right quick so we could go to school. And she could always tell when I was feeling ugly. And she'd say, "Oh my, Miss Nancy, you look so nice today," and it just made my day. You know, she was just great.
Yeah, she was, and
She was real nice.
we went to on a vacation the year I graduated. So it
Right.
was 61.
Yeah.
We went to California. We were gone 4 weeks.
Mhm.
We didn't take these two. They were too little.
Of
yeah.
course.
I remember being abandoned with grandma.
And anyway, she died while we were gone.
Yeah.
So, and mother didn't always have that help, but she had 7 kids and a garden, and it was a big, and a machine that you couldn't just put in, no microwave, no dishwasher. I mean, you know, it was a totally different.
And we didn't know much.
We were outside.
Outside. Yeah.
I was always out. I
It
didn't know
helped
how
a
to.
lot, but it wasn't in the house.
Right, exactly.
We had other things to do,
I
right?
didn't know how to
Right.
make a bed till I got married.
Yeah.
We had a
had-
dishwasher, but it didn't work. It never worked.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I don't.
Yeah,
I
there
don't
was
think
a
it ever
dishwasher in
worked.
that house.
And-
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
over by the kitchen
Yeah.
sink.
And then we had a table, and the 2 benches are here. We had a table that, see that bench?
Oh, the
There's
naughty
a-
pine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the naughty
Yeah.
kind. It was cedar, and they made it at the Boonville
Reform school.
Reform School, right, made
Yeah.
it. And we had a small, a bench that was lower and a bench that was higher.
Mm-hmm.
So, it seemed like every year they would grin at each other, and Daddy would say, well, girls, or kids, we're not gonna take a vacation this year because we're gonna have another baby. I thought it was every year. It seemed
Well, it
like-
seemed like it.
Right.
I remember when he told us he got Judy and me together before Tina. And he said, "Now, girls, you gotta help Mother out because she's not feeling very good." And Judy said, "Are we gonna have another baby?"
Yes, we were.
And I always remember, I didn't hear it myself, but I heard the story about how Grandma Johnmeyer, everybody was waiting to hear the news of the baby when I was born, and they called home and said it was a girl, and everybody's excited except Grandma, who said, another darned old girl.
That's exactly right.
Completely
Yeah.
predictable.
I didn't hear it either, but that could have been what she said.
Yeah, that's exactly. I remember because we grabbed the phone, and that made her mad because she wanted to be the one to grab the phone. But we grabbed the phone and we said, "Oh, it's a girl! It's a girl! It's a girl!" And Grandma says, "Oh, it's just another darn old girl."
She was rough.
She was rough.
Yeah.
She was.
She liked her voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so anyway, when you were little, you sat on the tall bench, and it was such a big deal to get to move to the lower bench. Big deal. And then the baby always sat in the high chair. And it was a big deal for the baby to get to move to the big bench. And the phone was right there by the wall, remember? Daddy sat right here, and the phone was on the wall, and he had a piece of rubber pipe,
It was
Garden
Rubber
it was a
hose.
rubber hose from the milking machines.
and it hung on the wall. And if you talked on the phone too much, you got a tap on your head.
Oh,
He said,
like that.
or if you made too much noise while
Right.
he was talking,
Right.
he'd
Yeah.
slap you on the back of the hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Grandma hit me with the maybe the end of a knife. She turned the knife over and
Right.
hit me with
Yeah.
the
Right.
handle. We were
Oh, dang.
peeling potatoes, and I did something, and she took her knife and flipped it over and hit me on the hand. I just remember. And then I couldn't even peel anything. I scared to
Well,
death.
it's probably because
You
built
Yeah, feeling it too
I
thick.
peeled it too thick.
it's
I'm sure.
probably because you were peeling too deep to suit
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Because she came to me one time and she
Right.
said, "I should make you peel those potatoes over again." And I thought, well, that
Put
would
those
just
feelings
take off
back
more.
on.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you put
Just
the
to
peelings
Yeah.
back on first?
She was
Peel.
she was raised during the
Yeah.
Depression. You did not waste. I mean,
Well, she liked to be in charge of everything, and once, if she felt like she was losing control, it made her mad. So.
So, did you work on the farm? Do you guys remember when you were little when we lived in that? Because I remember the older kids, they could be in the big milk barn, which was super cool. Had a little heat, I think, and it had music. And I
always
had to
had
go
music.
to the old milk barn and
Take care of the
and,
calves.
Take care of the calves.
Yeah.
And that was a
Feed the
terrible
cats.
job.
And
It
was
was
cold.
freezing out there.
Yeah.
But the calves were so cute.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No, when we lived there at that point in time, when we moved to town, I was kindergarten
You were
Yeah, pretty young.
you were
So
6.
I wasn't really. We played outside.
Yeah.
But I wasn't working outside until we moved to Camden.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't
And
doing
then I-
much working either. I remember helping out a few,
Yeah.
whatever help I could do.
You all probably carried in a few sticks of wood.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and we used to all go down to Lake Irene and swim every
Mhm.
night. He'd take
Right.
us down there and he'd throw us over his head over and over. And he'd been working all day too.
Right.
I remember going out to the old milk barn and watching, I think it was Donna milking a cow out there. I was very young, and she kind of would stop and grin and look over at me and say, "Open your mouth." And
Yeah.
then she'd squirt some milk into my mouth, which was kind of nasty. But
You remember the suction thing in the big milk bar?
oh
Oh,
yes,
yes.
Who was that? Was that you?
That was
Yes.
me. That was me. That was a little later. I would.
It wasn't too much later.
It
but-
wasn't too much later. Yeah, it wasn't too much later. We were in the milk barn, but that's when I was actually helping a little more milking
Mhm.
in the big milk barn. And oh, maybe I wasn't helping much because I was standing there watching Donna, and she was taking the milker off of the machine, and she turned around to me and just put it on my nose real quick. And then she pulled it out, and this great big long string of snot just followed
Went into the milk.
into the milk machine. And the look on her face, she was like, and the look on my face too, yeah. It was, whew.